You never really expect your life to flip upside down on account of a $78,000 bid and a woman named Karen. But here we are. It started on a forgettable Friday morning, burnt diner, coffee, true crime playing in the background, me scanning foreclosure auctions like I do every week. I've made a career out of buying distressed assets, industry speak for turning someone else's disaster into my next profit. Most of the time it's just business. This time it felt personal before I even knew why. Scrolling the county's online tax sale, I nearly skipped past Clearwater Null 72B, 5 years delinquent. Just another HOA-infested McMansion, probably. But then I saw the owner's name, Karen Maddox. That stopped me cold. Anybody in my line of work or anyone in this county dealing with an HOA knows the legend Karen Maddox, the iron-fisted president of Clearwater Null. The stories about her suing neighbors for planting the wrong flowers, banning Christmas lights, destroying a kid's treehouse, are the kind of local folklore you tell over beers, half laughing, half scared she'll hear you. I dug into the records. Nearly $400,000 home, 5 years unpaid taxes. She'd racked up liens, dodged every certified letter, managed to dance through legal loopholes. Best I could tell, she assumed HOA funds, paid her taxes wrong on every level. But when you sit on the throne long enough, maybe you forget the rules apply to you too. I did my homework, title, history, county filings, HOA minutes. It all checked out. This wasn't some trap, no messy disputes or cloudy claims. Just a queen who'd abandoned her crown whether she realized it or not. So under one of my business shells, I bid on her house. 78 grand. No other takers probably, because anyone who knew Karen's reputation wanted no part of that hornet's nest. A month later, redemption period closed. I was the owner. Staring at the digital confirmation, I grinned like a kid who'd just pulled off the world's greatest prank. But the house. That was just a bonus. The real prize was poetic, a chance to knock the crown off a tyrant with the law on my side. I drove out to Clearwater Null, the kind of neighborhood with stone pillars, gold-lettered signs, hedges trimmed within an inch of their life. Karen's place screamed, "Look at me," big porch, white shutters, everything just so. I took photos, sent the formal change of ownership by certified mail, then waited for reality to catch up. Only reality never seemed to reach Karen. My notice came back unclaimed. Maybe she thought if she ignored it, it'd vanish. Maybe she figured the system didn't have the guts to come after her. Either way, time was up. I owned her house, and she was still living in it like a queen without a care. So I showed up, paperwork and hand phone recording. She opened the door before I could knock, icy smile locked in place. "You must be lost," she purred. "Karen Maddox," I said, holding up the tax deed. "Name's Nick Horn. I'm your new landlord." For a second, she just blinked. Then she laughed hard. "You're joking," she said. "No, you're 5 years delinquent. Your house went to auction. It's mine. You've got 30 days to pack." Her laugh died, replaced with something colder. "The HOA covers my property fees. That's impossible." I shook my head. "No, it doesn't. You're responsible. Now I don't want trouble. Just do the right thing and move out." She stepped outside, arms folded. "You think a piece of paper gives you power? I'm the president of this neighborhood. I decide who lives here. You'll never last a week." I smiled. "You'll be surprised what's legal in Florida." She glared, but I could already see her composure slipping. A few days later, thick packet from the HOA emergency meeting, brand new bylaw, retroactively banning transfers without board approval, dated just before the auction. Letter said my ownership wasn't recognized. I was barred from entering the property. I had to laugh. Karen wasn't just angry, she was scared. When people who are used to power get scared, they get sloppy. The night I got that letter, my security camera pinged, motion detected. I watched as Karen and a local locksmith changed the locks on the house I legally owned. Private HOA security watched from the curb, arms folded. Message received, "We'll make this hell for you. But see, you don't make your living flipping disasters if you don't know how to fight." The next morning I filed eviction. Clean by the book. But I didn't stop there. I filed a complaint with the county DA, outlined the HOA's illegal retroactive amendment, cited state law, sent a similar report to the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. I even dropped a tip to the IRS just in case all those consulting fees weren't above board. And for good measure, I shared the story, names redacted at first, with a real estate reporter friend. Within a week, my little war was making waves in online forums, local news, even LinkedIn threads. Then the real twist landed in my inbox, anonymous, no subject line, just check the 2019 HOA audit. It's missing pages. Attached was a redacted financial report. The numbers didn't match, signatures looked faked, edits in different ink. That's when I realized Karen hadn't just messed up, she'd built her castle on quicksand. When Karen tried to delay the eviction, citing community destabilization, I walked into the HOA office and demanded 5 years of financials per state law. Sherry, the assistant, tried to stall. I promised to come back with a subpoena. I spent the night prepping. At a foreclosure meetup in a neighboring town, I shared the broad strokes. By the end, a dozen people had their own Karen stories. The HOA's legal letter accusing me of reputational sabotage arrived the next morning. I hung it on my wall. The hearing came quickly. Karen's lawyer argued the HOA could nullify tax deeds. Judge raised an eyebrow. I laid out the documents, the timeline, the legal precedents. It took less than 10 minutes for the judge to rule the tax deed was valid. My ownership, lawful, the HOA's new rules irrelevant. Eviction granted. Karen stood, frozen lips tight, while the judge signed the order. I didn't gloat. I just took the writ, headed to the sheriff's office, and requested execution. The deputy glanced at the name and just said, "Her again." We returned to Clearwater Knoll, just me, a locksmith, and the law. Karen opened the door. Mascara perfect robe, ironed, fury barely contained. "You'll regret this," she spat. "Probably," I said. "But not today." 15 minutes, 2 suitcases, 1 handbag. She never looked at me. Inside the house was a monument to control, meticulously arranged, but hollow. Unopened bills, empty bottles, private HOA folders everywhere. In the pantry, I found a duct-taped binder, spreadsheets, meeting minutes, sticky notes, one reading, "Find this guy if he installs shed," fake payment addresses, altered balance sheets, vendor invoices with no receipts. The bombshell. A spreadsheet of consulting payments, all routed to Karen's firm, KM Advisory. Landscaping bills at triple the going rate to a vendor sharing her ex's last name. It was all there, fraud plain as day. By law, as a new homeowner, I requested full financials. They sent me 2 flash drives, messy ledgers, and PDFs that smelled of panic. I spent 72 hours piecing together the scheme, over $140,000 on consulting to Karen's shell company, bogus contracts, forged signatures. One board member told me he'd never signed half the documents with his name. I compiled it all, 60-plus pages, sent it to the state nonprofit division, IRS, and a sharp reporter at the Tampa Herald. Then I petitioned for an emergency HOA meeting, posted it everywhere, knocked on doors, talked with folks who'd been fined for trash bins and untrimmed shrubs. By the time the meeting came, I had the signatures I needed. The room was packed. Residents, allies, skeptics. Karen didn't show, but her defenders did, stony-faced and silent. I presented the evidence, played a voicemail from a former board member admitting to signing blank checks. The room erupted, shouting, tears, outrage. When I called for a vote to suspend the board and launch a forensic audit, over 90% raised their hands. That should have been the end, but tyrants never go quietly. 2 days later, Karen stormed up my driveway in a red Blazer phone, live streaming to her Facebook group. She screamed, called me a predator, said I'd poisoned the community. She lunged at me, ripped a button off my shirt, phone crashed to the porch. I kept my cool. The sheriff's deputy arrived, reviewed the security footage, and her live stream, arrested her on the spot. Battery, trespassing, disorderly conduct. By morning, every local news station had the footage. HOA president arrested live on Facebook. Within days, state regulators froze the HOA's assets, launched audits, and former board members started talking. Some fled, some turned state's witness. The investigation uncovered over $200,000, siphoned off kickbacks disguised as fees, forged documents, years of cooked books. Karen's accounting mistake defense lasted 2 days. Then the grand jury indicted her on fraud, embezzlement, obstruction. She got 9 years and a hefty restitution order. The HOA dissolved assets divided among the residents. I sold the house, donated a chunk of the profits to start a nonprofit, helping people fight overreaching HOAs. It's funny, I set out to flip a house and wound up flipping the script on an entire community. About a year later, I found myself driving past Clearwater Knoll. The stone pillars were gone, security shack raised, just a quiet street now. On Karen's old lot, the house was demolished, replaced by a simple ranch, no fence, no cameras, just a wooden sign by the mailbox. No HOA. Free people live here. I stopped chatted with the new owner-friendly guy, proud of his piece. You the one who cleaned house, he asked. I laughed. Depends who you ask. He offered me a beer. No permit needed. As I drove off, I glanced back at that sign swaying in the breeze, sunlight catching it like a little flag of freedom. Funny thing is, this wasn't about property. Not really. It was about dignity, about people standing up when power goes unchecked. Some victories you don't need applause for. They just feel right all the way down to your bones. So tell me, if you lived somewhere like Clearwater Null, would you have fought back? Or just kept your head down hoping the storm passed you by? Drop your thoughts below, and if you've got a story about HOAs or power gone mad, share it. Let's keep the conversation going, because justice sometimes starts with one person saying no more.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.